Nestled amidst the rolling hills of El Salvador, the Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo, or CECOT, stands as a stark monument to human despair. This massive facility, sprawling over acres of land, is surrounded by an eerie silence that belies the turmoil within its walls. From a distance it may appear as an imposing yet unremarkable structure blending into the landscape like any other large building. But as one draws closer, the true nature of CECOT begins to reveal itself. However, behind its fortified walls lies a sinister reality that has earned it the chilling moniker, Prison of No Return. The walls, towering and unyielding, seem to whisper tales of suffering and lost hope. CECOT is a place where hope withers under the harsh glare of injustice, where the light barely penetrates the dim corridors, casting long shadows that seem to stretch into eternity, where due process is but a distant whisper, drowned out by the cries of those who have been forgotten by the world outside. The prisoners, with their forlorn expressions, are a testament to the neglect and harsh conditions they endure daily, and where the basic tenets of human dignity are brutally extinguished. Overcrowded cells, inadequate facilities, and a pervasive sense of despair define the daily existence of those trapped within. Inaugurated in 2022 by El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele, CECOT was initially touted as a necessary tool to combat the country's notorious gangs. The president's vision was to create a fortress of security, a place where the most dangerous criminals could be contained. However, its true nature as a black hole of human rights violations soon became horrifyingly clear. Reports of abuse, neglect, and inhumane treatment began to surface, painting a grim picture of life inside CECOT. With its capacity to hold tens of thousands of inmates, CECOT has become a symbol of El Salvador's descent into authoritarianism. The prison, now overcrowded and under scrutiny, stands as a stark reminder of the cost of sacrificing human rights in the name of security. In March 2025, the world watched in horror as the Trump administration began a series of mass deportations to CECOT, targeting Venezuelan migrants. These deportations, numbering in the hundreds, were carried out under the shroud of secrecy and fear. Families were torn apart, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. The deportees, many of whom had been living in the United States for years, were herded onto planes, their destination unknown until the last moment. Among them were asylum seekers, individuals with no criminal records, and even families with young children. Their only crime, it seemed, was seeking a better life. To justify these deportations, the Trump administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a draconian law that had lain dormant for centuries. This act, passed during a time of war with France, granted the president sweeping powers to detain and deport non-citizens deemed enemy aliens. The use of this archaic law sent shockwaves through legal circles. Critics argued that it was a blatant attempt to circumvent due process and bypass legal oversight. The Alien Enemies Act, they argued, was a relic of a bygone era, unfit for use in a modern democratic society. The Trump administration justified the deportations by claiming that the deportees were terrorists and violent gang members, primarily from the Tren de Aragua gang. They emphasized the need to protect American citizens from these so-called dangerous elements, suggesting that these individuals were part of a larger, more sinister plot to destabilize the country. They painted a picture of dangerous criminals infiltrating the United States, posing a grave threat to national security. The administration's rhetoric was filled with alarming statistics and dramatic anecdotes designed to instill fear and justify their harsh immigration policies. However, this narrative quickly unraveled under scrutiny. Journalists and human rights organizations began to question the validity of the administration's claims, pointing out inconsistencies and lack of evidence. Internal documents leaked to the press revealed a very different story. These documents showed that the criteria for deportation were often arbitrary and lacked substantial evidence. They showed that the vast majority of those deported had no criminal records whatsoever. Many were hardworking individuals who had lived in the United States for years, contributing to their communities and raising families. Among those who did have records, the offenses were mostly minor, such as traffic violations or petty theft. These were not the violent criminals the administration had portrayed. The evidence used to brand these individuals as dangerous criminals was often flimsy at best, consisting of nothing more than tattoos or social media posts. In many cases, these tattoos were cultural symbols or expressions of identity, not indicators of gang affiliation. The social media posts were often taken out of context, twisted to fit a narrative of criminality. This chilling disparity between the administration's claims and the reality faced by these individuals highlights the need for a more humane and just approach to immigration policy. Section 5. Inside CICOT, where hope withers and dignity dies. Conditions inside CICOT are nothing short of inhumane. Inmates are crammed into overcrowded cells, deprived of basic necessities such as adequate food, clean water, and medical care. The stench of human waste permeates the air, a constant reminder of the utter disregard for human dignity that pervades this place. Upon arrival, inmates are subjected to humiliating rituals, including forced head shaving and degrading strip searches. Contact with the outside world is strictly forbidden, leaving families in a perpetual state of anguish and uncertainty. The message is clear. Once you enter CICOT, you are forgotten, erased from the world. Section 6. Lost Voices, Stories of the Disappeared. The human toll of these deportations is immeasurable. Among the deportees are individuals from all walks of life: teachers, artists, musicians, and laborers. They are people with dreams, aspirations, and loved ones. Yet their stories are often lost in the cacophony of political rhetoric and legal battles. Take, for instance, the story of Andre Hernandez Romero, a talented gay makeup artist who had fled to the United States seeking asylum from persecution in Venezuela. Despite having a credible fear interview, Andre was swept up in the mass deportations and sent to CICOT. His only crime was his sexual orientation and his desperate hope for a safer life. Section 7. Legal Battles and Moral Outrage, the Fight Against Oblivion. The deportations to CICOT have sparked outrage and condemnation from human rights organizations and legal experts worldwide. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, filed a lawsuit challenging the use of the Alien Enemies Act, arguing that it violates fundamental constitutional rights. A U.S. district judge issued a temporary restraining order against the deportations, but it was blatantly ignored by the Trump administration. The case is ongoing, and its outcome could have far-reaching implications for the rights of immigrants and the limits of executive power. Section 8. El Salvador's complicity, a Faustian bargain. El Salvador's role in this human rights tragedy cannot be ignored. President Bukele, eager to appease the Trump administration and secure financial aid, readily agreed to accept the deportees. In exchange for housing these individuals in his country's most notorious prison, Bukele received millions of dollars in U.S. aid. This Faustian bargain has drawn criticism from human rights groups who accuse Bukele of selling out his own people for political expediency. By collaborating with the Trump administration in these deportations, Bukele has become complicit in the human rights abuses taking place within CICOT's walls. Section 9. CICOT, a stain on humanity, a call for action. CICOT stands as a chilling reminder of the fragility of human rights and the ease with which they can be eroded. This facility, often referred to as the prison of no return, has become a symbol of the systemic failures and injustices that plague our societies. The very existence of such a place raises critical questions about our commitment to human dignity and the rule of law. The deportations to this prison of no return represent a grave miscarriage of justice, a stain on the conscience of both the United States and El Salvador. These deportations are not just administrative actions, they are life-altering events that tear families apart and subject individuals to inhumane conditions. The stories of those who have been sent to CICOT are harrowing, filled with accounts of abuse, neglect, and a complete disregard for basic human rights. The fight for justice for the deportees of CICOT is far from over. Activists and human rights organizations continue to rally, demanding accountability and transparency. They are not just fighting for the deportees, they are fighting for the very principles of justice and humanity. Their efforts are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring belief that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. It is a fight against oblivion, a fight to ensure that their voices are heard and their stories are not forgotten. The vigils, the protests, and the relentless advocacy are all part of a broader movement to shine a light on the injustices that have been committed. These actions serve as a powerful reminder that silence is not an option, and that we must all stand in solidarity with those who have been wronged. It is a fight that demands accountability, transparency, and an unwavering commitment to upholding the fundamental rights of all human beings, regardless of their immigration status. The call to action is clear. We must advocate for policies that protect human rights, hold those in power accountable, and ensure that such injustices are never repeated. This is not just a fight for the deportees of SICOT. It is a fight for the soul of our society, a fight to reaffirm our shared humanity.